Hey guys, this is Ryan with Mom on Mission, and today I'm bringing you the second part of our curriculum series that is hosted by myself and Ingrid over at the Ingrid Chronicles. And today we're going to be talking all about math. So again, this is just a playlist resource that we're putting together for you guys to just show you what we have used in our homeschool recently and kind of what we think about it. I personally am not doing a walkthrough because I already have videos doing more of a in-depth walkthrough. So I will just be showing you what we use and kind of showing you the highlights of how we use it and what I think about it. So hopefully if you are looking at switching curriculum or trying to start homeschooling for the first time, this will be a good resource for you. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments down below. So for math, we have always used Saxon. So since my oldest son was in kindergarten, we have used Saxon, and he just finished up, well, is currently finishing up his third grade Saxon year. So we love Saxon. A lot of people think it is a little rigorous, a little dry, which I'm not gonna lie, it is a little dry. There's no pictures, there's no color, but it's math, so I don't know that any of that's necessary in my opinion. So how it is typically set up is there is a meeting, or the meeting as they call it. We very scarcely use this. Again, I'll post a video up below on how we use Saxon more in depth, but we don't love that part. Some people do, I don't. I just kind of pick and choose what I'm going to do from that. But then we will always do the actual lesson, which is where there is the scripted teaching. I'm all about scripted teaching. Not to say that I can't go off the script, because I often do, but it just helps keep me on track. And they typically introduce the concept, typically in a hands-on way, as much as they can. And so it'll tell you in the beginning what materials you might need to do that. I again tweak that as I need to, whether I feel like it's too much and we don't need to do that, or whether I just don't have the supplies that they're asking for. And then typically they end it with some sort of letting the kids practice whatever it is that you've taught them. And I'll typically do as many of those as I feel like we need to. I'm not gonna kick a dead horse. So if I feel like they've got it, we move on. And then you have your class practice, where they may have to practice their flashcards. So they do a lot of fact memorization, which I think is really good. It can get really redundant, I'm sure. I remember stressing out about those time tests in public school even, but I obviously see the benefit of them. The way that I try to take that pressure off of my kids is, yes, we do time them, but it is not a pass-fail. It's not I don't grade them really. I do ask them to get a certain amount correct, and if they get below that amount, then we'll just do a few extra problems. I don't really punish them. I just say, hey, let's work on that a little more then. And I make them do a few more of the problems just to make sure that they're actually getting the facts in their, even if they're not getting them super fast. But we do want to increase how quickly they can regurgitate those facts, because that will help them be better at math in the long run. So sometimes I have them practice with the flashcards before they take that time test. Sometimes I don't. Just depends on the day. So we take that, and then every week, for the exception of some testing weeks, but almost every week comes with a worksheet. And I think from second grade on up, those are front and back, but there may be some in first grade, but I'm pretty sure it's second grade on up, they're front and back. I don't make them do both sides. If they can do the front side correctly, then they're fine, because how the worksheets have been laid out thus far is, say number 1 on the front is a word problem, then number 1 on the back is also going to be a word problem. If number 2 is, a fractions problem, then on the back it's going to be a fraction problem. And so as long as they get it the first time, I'm not going to make them do the second side, because it makes math take a long time if you do it by the book with Saxon. I will admit that. But as long as you are willing to tweak it and to kind of make it your own, it is so doable and so good, I think. And so Now, if my kiddos do get something wrong on the front, and I know that it wasn't just they misread or they were rushing air, then I will, if they're not quite getting it, I'll sit down, go over that concept again, and then on the back, find that corresponding problem that's very similar to the one they just did and have them do it again with that new problem, just to make sure that that concept is really sinking in. So for first grade, there is 130 lessons. My first grader has finished this up now. And I think every 5 lessons there is there's an assessment, and they call it an assessment, not a test. And it really is just to kind of check out where your kid is, if they're really letting this all sink in, or if they need to go back and review some things, because there's nothing wrong with that. And that's what's great about homeschool, is we have the time to sit down one-on-one and go back to those things that they're having a hard time with. And so every 5 lessons you have that, and then every 10 lessons you have, you'll still have the written assessment, but you also have an oral assessment. So you will say, you know, if you've been working on time, you'll say, hey, show me 8:15 on that clock, and you have the little handheld clock that you can move the hands with, and they'll show you the time. Or here, I'm going to pay for this 74-cent thing with $1. Give me my change back. You know, whatever it is that you're working on, they want you to make sure that they not only can do it on paper, but they can do it in real life. Which I really appreciate that part of it too. And Saxon is definitely a spiral approach. So they'll introduce a concept and then come back to it and then review some other stuff and then a new thing and then come back to some old stuff and then a new thing, which I really like that. I don't like, some people really like the mastery, where you just work on a thing till you got it and then you move on and don't visit it again. But I kind of like just that hit it again every once in a while approach. I liked it when I was a student, and it seems like my kiddos work best that way too. It's set up very similarly, but here is 3rd grade math. Next year he'll move up to Math 5-4, which in Math 5-4, which is 4th grade / 5th grade math, advanced 4th grade or regular 5th grade, I think. I don't know. But the next one is Math 5-4, and the way it is laid out completely shifts. So I'm anxious to see how that goes for us next year, and I will definitely keep you all filled in on that. But 1st grade looks a lot like, or 3rd grade looks a lot like the 1st grade one. There is just a few more lessons. I think there are 140 instead of 120 or 130, and which my 3rd grader is not super excited about because his brother's already done with his math and he still has a few more lessons. But again, it's pretty much the same setup. There are on the worksheets front and back, like I mentioned, and the assessments are front and back also. And it does sometimes seem like it takes a lot longer, but I just kind of tweak it. I try not to make it take too awfully long. Like I said, if you did this exactly by the book, you'd be doing math. I don't know that we could get it done in less than 2 hours. Like, even tweaking it a lot, we usually take, by the time he's done his worksheets and everything, it takes anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half with his worksheets included. Now, given those worksheets and assessments obviously don't take anything from me really, I just grade them and then go over the missed problems with him. But for him, that's a lot in a day, and it's 4 days a week is how we schedule it out. So I try to tweak it as much as possible so we're not spending 2 hours on math. But that is all I have for you. Now that my 1st grader has finished up his math, we have just been finding free printables online for kind of 1st grade math review. And I just make him do probably 3 or 4 worksheets a week, just to make sure that he's keeping up with those math facts and keeping his brain fresh, so that when we are ready to start Saxon Math 2 with him in September, he will not have regressed, hopefully. So I thank you so much for watching. Please check Ingrid's channel down below and anyone else who adds to the playlist to see what they use for math. So maybe you can get an idea of something that you might like to try. If you're new to homeschooling or just looking to switch things up, please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will talk to you next time. Bye.